Hi there, and welcome to episode 12 of the Just One More Project Bag podcast, hosted by me, Dana of Unwind, and
I'm Tiffany, the project bag, and it's been a bit.
it has. So check out my cups at unwindoriginals.com or the Color Straight Nail Polish strips at Tiffany's link. It's in the show notes. It's a brand new link that I just started this morning. So fresh link that's good for 2 months. And then check out Tiffany's project bags at theprojectbag.etsy.com. So yes, we have taken a bit of a hiatus. To be honest, there for a while, I don't think we had anything to talk about. And then we went on a finishing spree, or at least I did, and started crafting like a crazy person. So let's talk about this. So what you're currently working on?
Um, okay, so I have three things. One is a mystery. It's Mary Pino Knits. It's her new Advent mystery. It's a mystery shape as well. I believe it's going to be a shawl or a wrap or something because the yardage is substantial, but don't know what the final shape will be. So if you're
Did you
working,
get an Advent this year?
no, I'm using my leftovers from your Advent from 2019. Unlike
Okay.
your own company. And then I did supplement a couple in between that I didn't have enough yardage for. And she did say that it's written for 20-gram minis, but I'm chancing it with most of mine are like 16, 15, 16 grams. So we'll see how that goes. But I did drop down two needle sizes, and if it's not as large, I don't know, it'll be fine.
You're not very large, so there's that.
Well, that's what I figured that
If it's 7 feet long, it's going to be 2 feet longer than you. So
said something about, well, it seems to me it's going to be a schlanket because someone was asking about the final shape. I mean, a schlanket would be fine.
I mean, there's
But
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, right. I'm cool with that. So I knit my stitch marker into my stitch. I'm gonna have to rip it out. I haven't done that in a long time. My marker's trapped. Anyway, so if you're knitting that along and you don't want to be spoiled, although I mean the clues for the first little section are pretty straightforward.
Maybe bump forward 30 seconds. Yeah.
So this is what I've got so far. And this is Mount Crumpet.
Yeah.
And then I've got Peppermint Party started in there because it's written for a gradient. She designed it with the Advent set from
The Queen City.
Yes. And so she must have dyed, a gradient. And so I'm not really doing a gradient. I mean, when I laid mine out, there'll be gradient-ish. But so that's what I've got so far. And she's dropping these clues weekly rather than daily. So I think that, I think looking ahead at what's, for this whole first clue, I should be able to keep up, hopefully. And a lot of what this is right now is just garter.
Okay.
I would say, that was going to be a big component to the design. So yeah, I'm excited about this. I love a mystery, and a good way to use my leftovers. So the design is called Perpetual Hope. It's based on a quote from Home Alone, the original Home Alone, which I caught on TV the other night. So
I haven't watched it yet. I've watched a bunch of other ones, but not that.
Yeah, it's funny because I actually I didn't watch the whole thing, but I almost got to the scene where this quote is based off of. So anyway, that's one thing. How about you? You want to go next?
Sure. I just started a row. So I picked up a whip because who is this person that's recording with you? I picked up my changing staircases, which it was about here to here when I picked it up. It was very small because I had started this when I went on the Color Street cruise in 2019, and I like shoved it back in my beach bag or something and like messed it up, and I couldn't figure out what I'd done, and I just stuffed it in a bag and put it in my whip pile when I got home and promptly forgot about it. So I was doing some cleaning, which I'll talk about in a little bit, but I found a bunch of things. So I've knit like way more on it in the last few days. This yarn is not really showing. This gives you a better idea, I think, of what it looks like. This is Prim. This is a colorway. It's Toof by Hand, who has not died in very many years, but they were friends of ours. So I'm glad to use this, and I still have quite a bit left. So it's going to be a pretty decent size shawl, just by the nature of, it has lace sections and stockinette sections, but this is a free pattern. I believe it's Dragon Horde who wrote this one. But it's a free pattern, and it's very good, like potato chippy TV knitting, because you really don't have to concentrate like at all. So
I remember that one being, I enjoyed making it, and I would,
yeah,
it would be a good design for one of those, special one skein I don't know what to do with.
yeah. And I mean, as you can tell, this one is extremely variegated. It's very like busy. This is a good pattern for busy yarn because the stitch count's constantly changing, so it breaks up pooling. So this is a really good pattern for that as well. Which that was part of what kept me from knitting the skein for a while, was because I didn't want to put it in my shoes because it's too pretty for that. And then I didn't want to just like knit something random and have it be pooling and flashing and stuff. But there's none of that happening here. This pattern's actually really perfect for that. So this is the only thing I brought upstairs. So I've got two other things I can talk about, but they're downstairs.
So the next thing I've got is actually crochet. I know. I'm so excited. It was really fun to learn a new skill and have a new craft.
Yeah.
But I'm participating in the Between Knits and Pearls is a YouTube based podcast, and they posted an Advent swap on Ravelry this year. I believe they've done it 3, 4, 5 years now, but this is my first time participating. So anyway, I did up 24 minis and sent them off to a person, and I received back from the same person. And so I've opened days 1, 2, and 3, and I started the speckle work cowl by Lee Lynch. Actually, Sue Bus Knitter, she had suggested it on the Ravelry board for Kay's podcast, and Kay is Bead Sisters podcast. It's an audio podcast. I highly recommend it. But Kay had talked about Advent projects, and Sue had suggested this pattern, and I thought, well, it seems pretty straightforward. I think I can do it. Between me and YouTube, I feel like I can do anything.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, I've always got you as a backup if I get stuck, but it's the linen stitch. And so that's just single crochets. So anyway, this is what I've got. This is day 1, and it's Malabrigo sock in the lettuce colorway.
That's a good color.
I'm not really... It seems to me that the beginning of my cowl looks a little different than the end because, of course, it's done in the round. And so I'm not familiar enough with looking at, reading the stitches. So I feel like maybe I got off somewhere, but I'm not hating what I'm seeing. So I'm just going to keep on with it because I had entertained the idea of ripping it back and starting it over. But also it may have to do with the fact that it's written for a C hook and I am using an F.
Yeah.
Because I'm a tight knitter and I'm also a tight crocheter. So there are a little bit more like gaps in the fabric than,
yeah. Well, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of breathing space.
So I think maybe for the next color, I might drop down to an E. I probably won't go any smaller than that because I do want it to fit me. And
yeah, you don't want any smaller than that.
It's written for I cut the stitches in half.
So it would have been a double loop if you'd made it as written.
And it's beautiful. I mean, the pattern she did it in, I don't remember, it was a set of minis that she had originally written it in.
Okay.
I'm working them in as they come out of the package. So this is what I've got next. It's a Lorna's laces, and it could not be any more different.
It's gonna be bright in that section.
And then this was today's, and this is an opal, and there's quite a bit more, I think, in this one.
That must have been one from somebody's Opal advent calendar, because they did those for a few years. I don't know if they did one this year because I haven't seen anybody with one, but yeah, they had like a little box and it was all those little tiny skeins like that.
Oh, well,
They were
so yeah,
expensive though. I mean, I always wanted one, but every time I found one, they had to be shipped from overseas because nobody here would have enough of them to meet demand. And by the time I would think about it, it would be sold out here, but they'd have them overseas and it would be like $250 for me to get one. And I was like, I don't know if I want to pay that for Opal.
right. You need to get you and a friend with some leftovers or something and do.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, actually, so this is kind of fun. I've been feeling really left out because I didn't get an advent calendar this year because they all went on sale right when I had my first knee surgery. So I didn't have a whole lot of extra income at the time. So I didn't buy anything. And now I'm just like sad panda because I don't have one. So a friend of mine and I, like several years ago, she and I decided we were going to make an advent calendar for each other and we were just going to send them to each other. And we did like some little gifts and stuff and it was fun. Well, we didn't plan to do that this year. And then I was posting about how I was sad about advent calendar not having one. And she was like, oh, I really loved ours. And I was like, we should do one for January. So we're doing an advent for January. We'll just be late. We're just going to be late. But I found a huge amount of sock yarn scraps that I'd forgotten about when I was cleaning out my bedroom. So I found like they were all in like one of those space bags that had the zippy top and they were compressed. And when I opened it up, it was like boom, clown car. So I have a lot of really cool stuff. I know I didn't send her last time because I think these have been in the corner of my room for way longer than that. So anyway, I'm excited about it. So I'm going to enjoy putting that together for her because, yeah, but I'm also going to send her some self-striping because she and I both love knitting self-striping. So, I mean, it's just going to go into a blanket.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was what I really liked about this, this cowl. Well, that's one of the reasons why I chose crochet. The parameters for this swap were that they had to be between 5 and 7 grams.
Uh-huh.
That's not very much yarn. So I figure with crochet, that means that I can use every bit. And
yeah, you'll have an easier time with that. But crochet uses 3 times as much yarn as knitting. So it does still like, it's kind of a lot, but yeah.
Was probably, I think, 6 or 7 rounds. And it was 35 yards.
Okay.
Out of 8 grams knitting. So yeah.
Yeah, I think my friend and I are going to do 10 grams just so that we definitely have enough for whatever we want to do with it. I used the majority of the ones that she sent me before in that blanket that I made this year, that I finished this year, my corner to corner. And I don't know if I told you, but of some of my friends who are good crocheters gave me a recommendation on a border to put on it. So I'm going to add a border next year. That's going to be one of my crafty bingo squares.
To put a border on the corner to corner?
Yeah, because I just don't feel like it's big enough. Like, I always think when I make a blanket, oh, this is going to be big enough. And then when it's done, it's never big enough. You know, I don't know why I do that, but I do every time. So I'm just going to add a border to it. That's the one really nice thing about crochet is it's easy to add a border because you can start wherever and finish wherever and all that because you don't have to pick up stitches. You're just going through available loops. So, but yeah, they gave me a recommendation for a good border. So I'm going to use that, I think. So that'll be fun for next year. All right. So next for me, I restarted Wolf River. And so that turned out, it's Wolf River by Melissa Shashwary, and I left it downstairs because I'm a bum. It was a sweater that I had finished. Well, not finished. I had started. I wouldn't say finished. I had finished the back on it and didn't realize I was that far along, but it was like from 2017, I think. And that's the pattern that I ended up going through my library. And I was like, I know I have to have a DK to worsted weight sweater pattern in my library that I can use because I couldn't find anything I really liked in Ravelry searches and nothing anybody had suggested had really hit me just right. So I went back and looked and I found this and it was actually still listed as a whip even. So I went back and I pulled it out, and it was going to be 2 inches too small. It was a smaller size than what I am now. And I'm accepting the fact that I need to adjust the size that I make for things so that they're wearable. So I pulled it out thinking I had maybe this much of it done, and it was the entire bag. So I ended up ripping the whole thing out. I washed and reskeined the yarn, washed it, and started over. And I've added, I'm knitting the bigger size, and I had plenty of yarn for it. So I'm knitting the bigger size, and I knit 2 more repeats longer, which will make it about this much longer than it would have been originally. So yeah, I'm never sorry when I knit my sweaters longer. It's like kind of like a blanket. I think, oh, this is enough, and it never is, because when you put a 3D object into something laying flat, it draws up. It's just inevitable. So especially when you got some curves, and I do. So anyway, I restarted it. I'm to the armhole shaping now on the pieces, and you knit the front and the back the same. So you're just kind of like, just knit 2 the same. Just make sure you keep notes on exactly how many you knit, and that's all you really have to do. But yeah, I'm really happy with it. It's very pretty, and it's gonna be so nice when it's done. And the yarn, I don't remember what yarn it is. Let me look. It is Kramer Yarn Summit Hill, which has been discontinued forever. And I'm utterly obsessed with this. And I cannot believe that I only have 1 sweater quantity of it. But I think I bought it on like a Dizzy Sheet deal. Super clearance, like $3 a skein. So I've got somebody's lot pulled up on Ravelry. And when I finish the sweater, I've told myself I have to finish the sweater. But once I finish it, I'm going to buy her sweater lot because it's up for her trader sale.
Yeah. Reminds myself of how nice it is to work with.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a worsted, but it reminds me of brown sheep cotton fleece. It's got like a real soft, and it almost feels hollow. It's not dense. Like the back of the sweater weighs nothing. So it's like really lightweight. And that's something that I always take into account because I'm a larger, curvy girl, and sweaters can weigh a lot if I knit them in heavier weight for me. And they're full size sweaters, with long sleeves and full length and all that. They can be very dense and heavy and hot. And I don't think this one will be. Plus, it's lace.
Oh, yeah.
So that's helpful. And so the body is entirely lace except for some twisted ribbing at the bottom. And then you seam the shoulders, and then you pick up and knit the sleeves and stockinette. So, but somebody in my feed actually just finished hers for Thanksgiving. And I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot wait to have that. So I've been working on that pretty diligently. I'm excited about it. And then the last thing, while I was cleaning up my room, so I guess I'll just tell the story really fast. So Chris and I are having adult Christmas, which is when you don't give presents to each other, you get something fixed in the house. That's our definition of adult Christmas. So we decided this year we were going to get our fireplaces fixed because they've not worked in 10 years ish. So long time now. So the propane tank had to be filled, which was expensive. And then we had to have the lines checked and have the fireplaces cleaned out and all that because they're gas. They're ventless and they're gas. So kind of dangerous not to have them working properly. So anyway, I had to clean up in my bedroom because around the fireplace, because it didn't work, it just turned into like the place where stuff goes. So I had to like clean it out to make sure he could get to it to work on it. And I found so much yarn that I have no recollection of purchasing, or if I do, it's been so long it's shameful. So I found scrap. I found bags and bags of scraps. I found bags and bags of like sock yarn that was sitting there waiting to be skeined. I found half knit projects that I have since frogged, every single one of them. So if I was eligible for prizes for our podcast, I would have 27 entries.
Oh my.
And guess how many of them are on Ravelry?
To die. Oh,
Two.
man.
Two. Because I don't put things on Ravelry. I just don't. Unless it's something I'm talking about on a podcast, I do not put anything on Ravelry. I don't know why. It's just a stubbornness. So anyway, I found all of these DK weight scraps, and I was like, what the heck am I going to do with these? Because none of them are big enough to really use for anything. And it was like, a lot of them were variegated, so I didn't really want to use them for color work. So I was like, well, what can I use this for? So I found a pattern, and it's a Casa Pinka pattern that she wrote apparently last year during COVID. Um, and I can't remember exactly what she called it. Let me look, because I did create a product. The pattern that she called it is Blanket of Calm, and hers is written for fingering. I am knitting this out of DK scraps. So I mean crocheting. So I'm using an eye hook, and I'm using 4 rounds in each square, with the average DK yarn takes 9 grams. So I'm just grabbing balls of DK and going to town.
Cool.
Because that's like probably, other than fingering, DK is probably the weight that I use the most. So, but yeah, that's what I've been doing. So I've made 29 of them so far. I need to do, I think, 7 squares a week to get it to the size I want by the end of 2022.
Okay.
But I think I may run out of scraps by then.
Oh no.
So, but each square is taking me like 15 minutes. So it's like I can bank some squares ahead, which I've done, and then like knit other things in that weight yarn, and then use the leftovers to make more squares. But I'm not, there's no rhyme or reason with color. It's just whatever I have.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be wild and crazy.
Towel is the same thing. Like I'm just taking them as they come, and not have to put any thought into what's next.
Whatever works with the wild, crazy colors. I mean, seriously, that's just good stuff.
Okay, so I've got one more, and I don't know if my niece is still watching this podcast or not, but if you are, I want you
Turn it off for a minute.
I haven't decided if this will be Christmas or birthday, but these are leftover. The yarn is leftover from my Kirby Ruby Advent skein from 2019 that was based on Christmas Vacation.
Mm-hmm.
So, vacation. So this is the palmistry, and I'm making them as mitts, and I got the first one finished.
Oh, that's cute.
I'm not. I can't remember how much yarn I had left over, but I'm not trying to preserve colors. I'm just, bound off the thumb, and I immediately started the second one because I asked her ahead of time what her feelings were on matching or not, and she didn't care. So that's the first one, and then I've started just, I did. The only thing I changed with the pattern was I knit an extra, I don't remember how many rounds, for the top, and the cuff I did and I actually did knit them longer. The cuff I did a twisted rib. So.
I just prefer, like, I feel like a lot of mitts patterns have it just barely below the wrist bone, and to me that still leaves a gap with my coat.
Yeah, you don't want to.
Wind still gets up in there, so yeah, I like gauntlet level mitt.
That was what I felt like with hers. So
yeah,
I knew that I had enough yarn to make it happen, especially since she didn't care whether or not they matched. Now, if they hadn't matched, that would be different. But I'm excited to use up the leftovers as well. So
yeah,
a size I did 2 for the ribbing and size 3 for the hand part.
excellent.
I mean, it's a really fast pattern.
Yeah.
That's by Stephanie Lotbin, in case anyone is not familiar.
Well, and two, anything self-striping is going to feel like it goes really fast because you get excited about that next color change, and I'm just going to knit through the next color change, and then just the next color change, and the next thing you know.
Yeah.
At least that's how I am with self-striping socks and stuff, for sure. So that's fun. Well, so I've got a couple of FOs. My big one, which most of you have seen, is my Saldana. So I finished this at like almost 2 a.m. the day of our family pictures. So I went ahead and I wet blocked it. I mean, I went ahead and I threw my color catchers in there, and I've got an end poking out a couple of them. Maybe this is the front. I think this is the front. Anyway, I still need to fix those ends, but So I wet blocked it. I threw like 15 color catchers. I used like a third of a box of color catchers. Threw it in there, and this is all my yarn. This is all Unwind Yarn Company. Blue, and then there's a gray, and then there's this like bright orchid, and then there's a green, and once again, low contrast. And this is actually green and blue alternated, but you can't tell that from a distance, but it's okay. It looked fine. It did great in our pictures. My photographer did like kind of like a sepia-ish color to our picture. So you really can't see the vibrancy of the color of my sweater, which is slightly disappointing, but it still looks nice. So it is what it is. But I was really glad I finished that because yeah, that had been on the needles for a long time. So that was a really big deal to get that done. And then, yeah, then this is totally tangled now because I carried it upstairs. Look at that. It's like spaghetti. It does this if you look at it wrong. This is my tiny pumpkins garland. You could just look at a pile of it in my hands. So this was hanging on my mantle for my fall decor. And this is the Tiny Pumpkins pattern by Susan B. Anderson. I have a kit from Barrett Wool Company that I used. I have a ton of it left. If I want to make more, I got lots. I can do it. So I actually thought about double stranding the yarn, like knitting from the inside and outside of the ball and making bigger ones to sit around next year.
Yeah, I would do that.
So they're very cute. So it went all the way across my mantle, and that was super fun. I really enjoyed making that. I did not get around to the Tiny Witch or the Black Cat, but I've got the yarn for it in the kit. So those are also patterns that were available in that bundle. When you bought the kit, you got the patterns. So I had that. And then I pulled Deep Stash because I wanted a pair of Christmas socks, and it just scratched a small itch, and now I still want more. But this is the Old Timey Tree colorway from Moon Rover, who no longer dyes yarn. And this base is really unusual. And so, fun story. I pulled it out knowing it was heavier than normal fingering, but for some reason, my head said, cast on the normal number of stitches that you would for a pair of socks for you, which is 64. And they were so big, they wouldn't even fit my husband. I mean, they were enormous. And I was almost to the toe on the first one when I realized it. And I was like, well, to the frog pond you go. So I pulled it all back out and cast on 56 stitches. So 8 stitches less. And they fit perfect. So anyway, as you see, they're shorties. But that yarn was very precious because she doesn't dye anymore. And I always really loved her yarn. I've got yarn in my Enchanted Mesa has yarn from her in it. And this skein, and I don't have a whole lot more of her yarn left. So it was, but I'm just to that point where I've got some really good stuff in my stash and I want to really enjoy my knitting. And the yarn is beautiful, but there's lots of dyers making beautiful yarn every single day. So there's no point in hoarding stuff just because somebody doesn't dye anymore. I don't want people to do that with my yarn. I don't dye anymore, but I don't want them hoarding it because they feel like, oh, I'll never get anything else from me, because you won't, but it's special, but I want you to enjoy using it. So this is me giving the world verbal permission. Please use your yarn from me. Like I'm using yarn from people that don't dye anymore, because you'll always find a new favorite.
Of course, right. There's the the world's your oyster out there as far as
oh yeah. New people learn to dye all the time. You're not gonna be, you're not gonna be without a new favorite skein for very long. So
I went ahead and because of part of the Advent set was to send a full skein for the 25th, and it was supposed to be from your stash. So I let go a skein of Cloud Lover that, it was
oh, that's 8 or 9 years ago she quit dyeing.
It was probably one of the first indie dye yarns I had bought, and I probably followed her on Instagram or something like that, and that's how I learned about her. So and it's beautiful, but I thought, here I've had it all this time, I've not done anything with it, like it needs to leave.
Yeah, and at some point too, I feel like it's putting some goodwill out into the world and releasing some of the weight of the stuff that you have.
That happened who was it? I can't remember. Oh, it was Mary. We did the sock exchange, and I ended up with a skein from her, and she said, I immediately cast on a sock with this yarn, and she's, this has been in my stash for X number of years, and I didn't do anything with it. Here, you started it right away.
Yeah.
So yeah, it deserves to be something beautiful.
Yes. I mean, it's, it's like this skein. I'd been saving this because our friends don't dying are not dying anymore. And I'd put it back and was saving it and saving it and saving it. And then I just realized I would rather look at this as a finished object. I really would. Like, it's just not worth it to me to sit here and continue to hoard it and not do anything with it, because it also, they tend to get buried and they're in the stash and they go to the bottom. And then how often do you really toss your whole stash looking for something to work with? I mean, I know for me, I go to the top third and I almost never look below that. So I have to go in and actually remind myself to toss my stash, once a year or so, and bring the stuff that's on the bottom all the way to the top so that I'll actually see stuff that I have. Because once again, I don't put stuff on Ravelry. My stash is not on Ravelry for the most part. I've got some things on there because I'll get a wild hair and do like a bin, but then I've got like 4 more that I didn't do. So, but anyway, that's my own personal hang up. But yeah, I just feel like use the good stuff. Life's too short. Use the good stuff. And if you're not going to use it, give it to somebody who will, so that they can enjoy the good stuff too.
Share the wealth.
Yeah. I mean, I totally plan, well, if next week happens, this won't happen, but if it doesn't, I'm planning on doing a whole bunch of getting your yarn wishes granted, but I think I'm just going to put a list of stuff on, I'm going to put a list up on Instagram, just let people claim it, because
That's the easiest thing to do.
I don't want to go through and look through all those posts. Like, I just don't. And I don't want anything in return. I don't want people feeling like they have to give me something.
Yeah.
So if you're watching and you're interested in getting something from me, be sure that you follow me on Instagram, because that's where it's going to happen. When it eventually does happen, that's where it will happen. And it may not happen until next year. I may just do it one day when I feel like it. So, yeah, so that's all of the stuff that I finished, really. But I'm feeling good about that. Let's show your hat.
Yeah, I've just got the one project, and I was just about finished the last time we recorded.
Yeah, you were.
The Oak Trail hat by Alana.
It turned out so pretty.
And I don't want to keep it for myself, but I have enough yarn. I could make another one, because what the thing is that this is Malabrigo Rios in the Jupiter colorway. And in case you haven't been with us for a while, you will not know the saga of the yarn.
That's the failed sweater yarn.
Failed. Did it into or started I started 2 sweaters with it. It just didn't work out. So now it's this. But when I was thinking it was going to be a sweater, I was afraid I was going to be 1 skein short. So I bought a 5th skein, and it's way drastic. Like, this is beautiful, whereas the lot I originally bought had more brown in it, and it's not bad, but it's more like chocolate cherry color versus this beautiful red. So anyway, I don't have enough.
So cute.
It is. I love it. I love this cloche style, and it's a fast knit because you knit the brim and then you just knit the body.
Pick up the top, yeah.
Stitches and knit the body. So I think it's for my hairdresser, and I'll be seeing her in 2 weeks, and I'm thinking I'm going to take this to her, and then I'm thinking maybe I'm going to grab some chocolates and just to all the girls in the shop. And I was thinking maybe I'd do like a little vinyl sign and attach it something like hairs to 2022 or something.
That's funny. Well, my hairstylist is opening her a new salon, so I may wait to give her a holiday present until I see more pictures of the new space, because I may make her something at some point. Yeah, that would be fun. Okay, so incoming, you're just gonna focus on whips, or you got any plans? Or
I don't have any plans. I do have some hats that I want to make for a friend of mine. I made a hat for her first child, well, it was a whole combo like I'd like to do. And
I'm so sorry that.
all three of her kids. And so she texted me not long ago and she was like, I'm so sad the hat, finally has outgrown the last baby. So I want to make a new hat set for all three kids. It's their college colors, where she and her husband went to school, and her parents. It's a whole line of family members that went to Syracuse University. So
Okay.
it's special to them. And so I've got the yarn, but that'll have to wait until probably January, because I also I do have something. Again, that niece needs to stop listening for a minute.
Skip ahead, V.
Or a messy bun hat or whatever. I've got the yarn. I actually had her pick it out to make with the intention of making an ear warmer for her.
Mm-hmm.
But then my sister texted me and asked me if I could maybe make a messy bun hat, because when she comes out of ballet, with her hair being damp from sweat from all the work she's doing, dancing on her toes, she thought that would be a good thing to have. So I love that. I would have never thought about it. So
yeah,
I do have to make a messy bun hat before Christmas or birthday.
Those don't take that long. The one I made out of bulky, and it took me like an hour and a half.
I love this yarn chunky or something like that. So it's like size 10 or 11 needles. So yeah. So that's all.
The only thing I have planned as a new cast on right now, but you know me, this could change at any time. I want to make another pair of Christmas socks. And I did get a couple of skeins of Christmas yarn this year. I got the mint rain advent skein. And I've had it for a while. I've got that one. And then I got some really cute Kelly green and white self-striping with a red mini. And it was by a new to me dyer I actually found on Etsy called SSK Yarners. And it's really cute. So I don't know if I'm going to use one of those. And I also have, also have a sock blank back here that I found in the stash. And this is from Fiber Nymph, who is a friend of mine. And this was from a few years ago. So she hand painted this sock blank. And it's all like little Christmas baubles and Christmas tree branches. So I might do that one too. I don't know. You and I had discussed that when I was trying to decide what socks I wanted to knit a while back. And I wanted something that I didn't have to deal with the kink in the yarn. So as much as I love how cute the sock blank is, I'll probably take a picture of it and then skein it and then wash it so that it's smooth, because it drives me crazy to knit with kinked yarn. Tiffany knows me well. So yeah, I might do that. I don't know yet. So that's the only thing I have incoming that I definitely have planned. I really want to finish my sweater by Christmas. If I can, I really want to try. It's a lot of yardage, but also like I just want to wear it, and then I might pick up some whips too along the way. Like this, I had no intention of picking this up. I just happened to find it and was like, oh yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, it was sitting there and there was no reason for me not to already, be back to it, working on it. And the funny thing is, like, I went back and was looking, and I've dealt with several of my oldest whips, like the ones I had listed on Ravelry. I've dealt with several of them now. So, the blanket was a big one. Soldotna was a big one. There was another one that I did. I can't remember now, but there was another one that I started working on. That's an old whip too. So it feels good to kind of get some of that cleaned out. So I just waited till the very end of the year to put my foot on the gas.
Well, that's, I've kind of taken my foot off the gas with my crafty bingo. I mean, when I finish the mitts, and then my sock that I had talked about last time, I just moved that to hibernating status because I'm not sure when I'll, get back to that. But maybe by the year, if I get those two finished, then that will just leave one square that I didn't cross off for crafting. Wow. And that was a spinning goal. So I've already made my goals for next year, and there is not a one spinning goal on that board. I'm done lying to myself. I'm gonna get it done. And so
Apologize. That was an unattractive view. Um, but I wanted to grab mine. I'm gonna have like, let's see, that one's crossed off now. And then that one's crossed off now. That one's crossed off now. That one's crossed off now. I still have 2 spinning goals that won't get done because let's just face it, they're not getting done. And then if I finish this whip, that will be one more off. And then, oh, and that one's done too. The 2 spinning goals will be the only thing that'll be left. I won't have anything else left because I won't black out a card. I've never blacked out my card ever in the history of me doing this. And like, how many years have we been doing this? Like 4 years?
yeah, that sounds about right.
3 or 4 years. I don't think I've ever blacked out my card. And in case you're new to the podcast or new to the podcasting world, Erin from Bling Your String does a crafty bingo every year where you get a bingo card and you fill it in with your own goals. And then as you check off your goals, you post your projects and you post your bingos as you get them. And she gives away prizes. So it's a nice little thing. And it kind of keeps you on track if you're wanting to accomplishing certain things during the year. But as Tiffany and I have gone, the looser our goals have gotten.
Yes.
Because we're just not really, I don't know. We're not really, we're go with the flow crafters in that like an occasion comes up, we need a gift, we'll make something and it might not fit a specific goal that we have. So we want to get credit for it. So our goals are kind of loose. I have a project page for mine if you want to see what my goals were for this year. So
yeah, I sometimes do that if I'm stuck when I'm making the goals, like what did other people put into theirs. But like Dana got me started on the squares or just make a gift, because then that encompasses, because it can be any craft that you choose. It doesn't have to be knitting or spinning or crochet. So it doesn't have to be a needle art. So that always helps to fill in, but I try to be pretty specific with patterns just because I'll have a pattern in my queue for forever and ever. And I know if I don't set a goal, if I don't have a reason to make it, I probably won't make it. So this forces me to have a reason to make it. But yes, I have blacked out one card. And I felt good about this year's goals. They were pretty much all attainable except that spinning goal. I can choose to knit or I can choose to spin. And, the knitting is just where it's at for me right now. So I'm not even bothering.
Well, with my knees being like this, I really can't spin. Mm-hmm. And my Hanson, I love my Hanson, but getting it out and finding a place to put it where it's not going to get knocked off, where I can still have my feet up, which I need with my knees being like this. It's very difficult. And I have a long-term spinning project on the Hanson, which I'll be honest, is not really something I'm feeling the urge to finish. So anyway, yeah, I've got 3 more squares I'll get and then I'll be done. And I won't have the spin 2 skeins of yarn. I've got 2 spin 1 skein of yarn ones. So, but I feel this is the closest I've ever gotten. I've never gotten even within 5, and I'll be within 2 of having a blacked out card. So I feel like I've been very successful this year. So this coming year's will probably be a variation on this.
That's what I did too. It's pretty close to what I did this year because this year felt successful.
Yeah, I felt like I got a lot done and I was really proud of how much I got done this year, especially considering all the obstacles that have happened in life this year. It's definitely been useful.
The wild things, I just left on there on the show notes, like it's been a hell of a month again.
Yeah, I will not disagree with you in the least. So Maker's Moment, what you planning on doing that?
Well, all I've done, I've already wrapped it up. It's sitting in my car. It's got to go to the recipient today. A coworker is having a baby in January. We're having the shower for her on Monday, but I won't be there. So I'm leaving the gift with someone else to gift on my behalf. I did 5 onesies. I plan to put these up on Instagram later just because they just turned out so cute. I cut vinyl and pressed designs on 5 onesies. And they were 2 of them were Harry Potter themed, and this baby is an IVF baby, and so I did Little Miracle on one, and I did Made with Love on the other, and what was the third one? Okay, so maybe 3 of them were Harry Potter. Oh no, the other one said Little Boss Lady. Yeah, that was cute.
Aww.
So that was that, and then I sewed everything else. This is the first time I have not knit for a baby, like that I can remember since I.
Well, but with the track record lately of how you don't even get thank yous or pictures of babies in knits, I don't really blame you.
Yeah, well, I did get the one from the green and white set I made. They had professional pictures with him in that, and then I did get a thank you for the one, and he ended up he arrived on time, but he had to spend some time in the NICU. I think he was in the NICU for several, but he's doing great. But I've not seen any pictures yet of him in the set, but that's okay.
You know, I was actually thinking back the other day of how many baby knits I've made, and I think I've only seen pictures of like maybe 2 babies and something that I've made them.
I don't think that they, that they think about that kind of
It's
thing.
not really a priority, and it makes me just not want to make.
Right. Well,
it takes so long. I mean,
I knew very well that this mom would appreciate. She is a maker through and through,
right.
But I just couldn't settle on anything.
Yeah.
She's a huge Harry Potter fan, and so I wanted to do something maybe for in like her house colors, but I don't know. That just didn't feel right to me. So I was like, forget it. I'll just sew a bunch of things. So I sewed 5 or 6 burp cloth and bandana style bib sets, and I made 2 of the little taggy sensory loveys.
Nice.
Harry Potter fabric. So that's kind of how I tied that. And the one set I did had the Marauders map on it. That fabric.
Nice. Was it the Joanne one that's like the tan fabric that has it there?
Yeah.
I have a big old cut of that sitting right down next to me right now. Because I'd intended to do some cups with it, but life.
Yeah.
It'll still work for later. So
that's
good though.
That's all.
Okay.
Besides knitting and crochet.
Well, I've still got to finish up the ball cozies for my family, and I've got to get them done this weekend. I have no choice. So I've got 8 left to do. I haven't touched them in a month and a half. I've got the fabric. I've got probably 4 of them completely ready to start sewing. So then I'll have to cut for the other 4 and go ahead and get them ready to do. The sewing really doesn't take that long, and I do them in a batch. Like I do like one step and then move on to the next step and then the next step, So they won't take me that long. They'll just take me like an afternoon to get them done. But it's just a matter of like actually sitting down and doing it. And of course, like Thanksgiving was here, so I had to put my machine up and, keep things out of the way. So I've got to finish those. And then a Facebook ad got me, and I bought some linen toweling from a place that I had never even heard of, but it looked nice. And then I was actually really happy because one of my friends, I told her, I was like, I have no idea if I just bought a pig in a poke. I don't know what I just got. And she was like, oh, I bought some from them like 3 years ago, and it's really good quality and you're really going to like it. So thank God. So I just have to cut the length of it into towel lengths, press hems, and sew because the edges are finished. It's just, I'll just need to finish the top and bottom. So I'm going to make some, I'm going to use that to make some dish towels for my aunt, who's impossible to buy for, and my mother-in-law, who's impossible to please. So they won't please her, but she'll use them. So it'll be fine, whatever. So I got that. I've got to finish that. Hopefully that's the last of my crafty presents for this year. I don't have any intention of making anything else if I can help it, because time's up. I want to start a new cross stitch, but I haven't decided which one. I've got a couple of things kitted up that I'd intended to get done with for this fall. I may just go ahead and do one of those, since they're already kitted up and they're already in my little cross stitch bag that I keep everything in. But I don't know. I may go rogue and do something completely different. I don't know.
Maker's choice.
You never know about me. I make decisions on the fly. And last but not least for this, I want to show the cup that I made for Madeline's teacher. This is her Christmas present. It's just finished. So it's actually just now cured enough for me to really handle it. It's got another 2 days before it will be cured enough for me to give her, but we're going to hang on to it. I don't want to give it this early. So her last name is Fox, and foxes are her thing. She has Fox stickers. She has Fox stamps. She has Fox reward cards. She has Fox everything. So she's branded herself. So I found this vinyl that I absolutely loved. And I had prepped this cup. This is a 30 ounce. I don't usually make this cup, I'll be honest. It's huge, it's heavy, but I know she doesn't get the chance to fill up her cup as often. So I knew a bigger cup would be fine and it could sit on her desk, and she's not going to be carrying it around a ton. So this cup was actually prepped white with silver flash in it underneath. And then I had a different idea in mind, and then this ended up coming up, and I was like, well, this is perfect anyway. So I put the vinyl. This is what's called a V-split. So it's got the white coming underneath. And then I originally intended the glitter on the bottom, the chunky, to be this, which is like a butter yellow. Well, when I put it on white, it kind of went pinkish, but it's got like a green flash and an orange flash. So the whole thing came together. And then I had this vinyl, which, as you can see, looks orange from some angles, but looks yellow at others. So I thought this turned out so cute. I'm really happy with it. And I'm really glad I got it done because, yeah, life is crazy. So I'm sorry, what?
You'll be her favorite parent for the whole year.
I hope so. Actually, Madeline's teacher from last year came up to me yesterday and goes, I brought my cup to school today, and I just wanted you to know I thought about you all day long. I was like, that's really sweet. Because I made her a really nice one last year for end of the year. But anyway, I just wanted to do something nice for her because this teacher's been really sweet to Madeline, and I wanted her to have a nice cup. And yeah, you know me, I just like making stuff. So anyway, that'll be gifted in a couple of weeks, right before right before Christmas break. And I do have a cup update tomorrow afternoon at 2:00 in the shop. This will be the last one that I'm going to do for 2021. I just do not got some life stuff going on. I'm not going to be able to do any more. I'm sure that a lot of you probably saw my announcement about not being able to do any custom orders for the rest of this year. That still stands. It will probably be almost February before I'm able to do custom orders again. So I ran a big sale last weekend for for Black Friday and Small Business Saturday, and I'd intended to get a cup update done for Cyber Monday, but life didn't happen this week. So I'm going to get it done tomorrow, Saturday, the 4th. We'll be at 2:00, and it will be the last batch that I'll be putting up this year. And I think there's 8 or 9 that are going to go up, and there's still 35 in the shop. So there's still plenty of things to choose from. It's just nothing can be personalized after the fact. Now it has to go out as is. But if I'm not able to ship, my husband will. He knows how to ship cups now because he learned before. So they will go out immediately. Everything goes out priority with insurance. So if the post office gets hinky, we can take care of you, but hopefully everything gets there. Okay. But yeah, that's all I have to say for cups. So that's fun. What you been reading or listening to or all that good stuff?
Simply all the SEC football podcasts still. Tomorrow is the SEC championship game. And then aside from bowls, which 13 out of the 14 SEC teams made a bowl. And so, other than that, college football season is pretty much at an end. So I'll still be listening to these podcasts because they'll have things in the off season, but I just won't have to keep up with them closely. So that's really it. That and then the murder podcast sprinkled in between, but not a whole lot.
Yeah, and if you want to see our murder podcast list, Tiffany actually put up a link a couple of episodes ago to a Google form. I mean, not a Google form, but a Google Doc that has links to all of her favorite ones. So, and she listens to more than I do now. So
Dana was the gateway drug, that's all.
Yeah, I just, yeah, I listen to a lot, but I'll tell you in a minute what I've been watching and why I'm not listening to podcasts as much. I'm still rereading the Dresden Files by Jim Butcher. I'm on book 10 out of 17 that are currently out. There's a new one coming out fairly soon. So I'm trying to like get done so that I can listen to it when it comes out. But once I finish the Dresden Files re-listen, I'm going to finally start Go and Tell the Bees That I'm Gone by Diana Gabaldon, which is the newest Outlander, number 9 of the major novels. It came out the day before Thanksgiving. And I bought the audiobook immediately. And Davina Porter, if you're an Outlander fan and you've listened to any of the previous books, Davina Porter is the narrator again. Diana Gabaldon's just going to have to write a little faster because I think Davina Porter's in her 80s now.
Oh no.
So the voice of these books cannot change, or I'm going to riot. I'm going to start a riot. But anyway, I'm really excited about the book. I've already seen people posting, like, they're not posting like true spoilers, but they're like, oh my God, it's so good. I just finished it. And I'm like, you finished a 1,000-page book in a week. Like, did you do anything else? Because I think the audio on it is, let me look at it because I don't remember. It was something insane though. The amount of time. Let's see here. Oh, it's 50 hours long.
Oh my. Oh my.
That's a long time. So if you listen 10 hours a day, you can get it done in 5 days. I don't think my ears could handle having AirPods in them that long. I think they would hurt if I had something jammed in my ears for that long every day. Plus, you'd have to charge them like 2 times each. You can only do one, they die. So anyway, I'm really excited about that. But yeah, I haven't gotten started on it yet, but I'm really, really excited about it. I think it's going to be so good. But it's been a few years since I listened to the last one. So I think I may go back to the last one and listen to, like, It's Written in My Own Heart's Blood's the name of that one. And I think I'm going to listen to like the last hour again, just so that I can like refresh what was happening at the end of it. Let's see here. I also found a new podcast I like. So this podcast person, her name is Dana Swartz, and her other podcast, Noble Blood, has been one of my favorites for a long time. I think you listened to that one at one point too, didn't you? Yeah, she's still doing that one, but she has a new one.
I really liked the one episode she did on, she did it with a couple of different friends, and they talked about, yes,
that's the people with the You're Wrong About.
Okay.
Yeah, that's them. I listened to them too. Yeah, that was actually how I found her, was through them. So it was like and I found them because Abby told me about them. Abby and Heather told me about them. So I knew about them because of them. So it's like, a long trail of how we find these different podcasts. But anyway, so she has a new one. I think this person and I would be friends because she and I have very varied interests. Like, we like a lot of different weird little niche genres of podcasts and storytelling and stuff. But her new one is called Hayleywood. And it is the story of Bruce Willis taking over the town of Hayley, Idaho in the 90s.
Oh, okay.
He apparently got hurt skiing at a ski resort really close to there, and ended up having to stay local and recuperate for a while. I think they were worried about clotting or something. And so he stayed local and he fell in love with this town. So he like built a giant house. Well, then the next thing they knew, he started buying up the town.
Oh.
And I remember hearing about this back in the 90s when it happened, because it was always this kind of like head scratching, like, Bruce Willis lives in a town of 3,000 people in Idaho. Like, why? He's Bruce Willis, but apparently as time went on, he kind of, he took over the town, but it was almost like a mob takeover. Like, he had his hand in everything, and he was trying to control the behavior of the town and the way the town looked and the way the people behaved and like all this kind of stuff. So it's a really interesting podcast. It's one episode a week, and I think there's been 4 or 5 so far. So if you like celebrity stuff or want to hear about people spending enormous amounts of money on really stupid stuff, it's an interesting podcast. You might like it.
I would love to get to the end to find out how the heck did they get rid of him.
Oh, they haven't. He still lives there.
my gosh.
He still lives there. He has a huge, like, multi-million-dollar house. And see, like in the town over from him where he got hurt skiing, there's a bunch of celebrities that have houses there. Like Tom Hanks has a house there. So, but he moves like 30 minutes away to little bitty Haley because it's unspoiled and people will leave him alone. But then he like simultaneously wants to be left alone, but he also wants to control them and like throw his weight around. But then he doesn't want them being like, I loved you in Die Hard, because that makes him mad. So it's like this really weird, like he sounds like he could use some therapy, to be honest. He's got very conflicting desires that are making him act erratically, at least at the time the podcast is like covering. But anyway, so check it out. It's called Hayleywood, and it's on iHeartRadio. I download it through Overcast. So I like it. So that's all I've been listening to, basically, is those. So what you wearing on you paws?
I have on Sahara Jewel, and it's doubled. And I love it, but it's starting to lift at the tips, so it's time to change. I think I'm gonna put it was an orange splashy glittery one. I can't remember the name of it.
Coming in hot.
Hot, that's it. Yes, from the fall collection.
Yeah, right? That's it.
That's gonna be next. But I really, every time I wear this one, I think, gosh, why don't I wear this more often? So it was definitely one for Thanksgiving, and
it's a good neutral. Yeah.
And it's sparkly. It's got dimension to it as well.
Yeah, it's a micro glitter. I love a good micro glitter. So I'm wearing Feeling Pine, which is from the Christmas collection. And this is like a sideways reverse French, which is really interesting. But I actually put the Over the Moon overlay over it, which kind of dulled it down because it's a lot darker than this in real life when it's by itself. But this is a glitter dipped overlay that starts clear at the cuticle and then has like white chunky glitter at the tip. So I've had this on since I think Monday, and it's still doing pretty good. It's double layered, of course, because it's, 2 layers, 2 different sets. But I really like it. I don't know what I'm going to wear next. I haven't decided yet. Probably something totally different than this, because I tend to do that. I vacillate in my set picks. But yeah, I actually did Madeline's nails for Thanksgiving, and her nails are still perfect. And it's been like a week. So she was looking at me last night and she was like, so the next time you change your nails, do you think you'll do mine too? And I was like, sure, I can do your nails. That's fine. So she goes through periods where she like wants to wear color streak nonstop and wants to match me, but then I change mine way more frequently than I change hers. So super fun though. All right. So where the wild things are, speaking of Thanksgiving, it was nice. My mom was here. We had a good time. My new couch arrived the day before my mother came in. So it came like Tuesday. She came in Wednesday. I love my new couch so very much. We've been waiting since April, and it's amazing. One piece did come in broken, which was super disappointing, but it's modular. So it like connects with these little, like, it's a flex steel. So it's got like a knob and a slot, and you connect them so that it all like stays in one piece. So when we connected it to the pieces on either side of it, it holds it steady. So you can't really tell that it's broken, but they've already ordered the replacement piece. So I don't know how long it's going to take to come in, but for now it works and it's usable. It wasn't broken so bad that you couldn't sit on it. It was just unfortunate, but they have a guarantee and it's going to be taken care of. I'm really so happy with it. It looks fantastic in the room. It's super comfy to sit on. It like immediately makes me want to go to sleep the minute I sit down because it's so comfortable. That's going to be good. Madeline's last soccer game of the season is today. She's super excited about that. And it's going to be nice and warm. It's going to be like 73 here today. So she's going to have a nice afternoon to play. But yeah. So speaking of weird things that I have found. So I bought a membership to Friendly last year, which is like a streaming service. It has Hallmark and Lifetime and a whole bunch of other channels. It has Game Show Network on it. It has a whole bunch of channels, like 16, 17 channels. and it's fairly inexpensive. I think with tax, it works out to be like $7 a month. It's pretty inexpensive. So I bought this. Well, the other day, mom and I were in there and she's like, let's watch a Hallmark Christmas movie. I was like, okay. So I go flipping through and they have a channel right now that they've added for the holidays. So if you have any of the Hallmark streaming services that carry it, you should have this channel. It's called Happy and Friends Yule Log Channel. And it is a set with a fireplace burning. And it has a tree and it has stacks of presents. And they rotate in different breeds of animals. And they just sit there on the screen. And like the bunnies are like chasing each other and trying to unwrap packages. The kittens are trying to undecorate the tree. The puppies full on rip packages open. And then there's an older cat, and then the dog whose name is Happy, who is in a whole bunch of Hallmark movies. He's like one of those, like he's kind of Eddie from Frasier. It looks like that, but they put a big bed in there and they just lay in the bed and just lay there and you can just watch them. And the background music is just old-fashioned Christmas carols.
The librarian at school had that up. I don't know if it was a YouTube thing or if it was something else, but she had that up the year before last. And I was just like, oh, what is this? It was so fun to watch. And the kids get really excited about it, you know, because she'd play it as they were, you know, doing their lesson and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's so cute. I don't know. It may be on YouTube, but we did figure out that it is a 3-hour loop, if that tells you how long we had it on. Because mom and I are just sitting on the couch, like I'm knitting and she's just sitting there. We're just talking and we'd look up and like watch the animals for a bit and then start talking again. And we just had it on like almost all weekend, just off and on, because it's soothing music. It's good Christmas music. It's like, you know, Nat King Cole, Bing Crosby, Frank Sinatra. It's the older Christmas music. And then it's instrumental Christmas music too. The only thing they played that I heard that was modern was Trans-Siberian Orchestra. They played one song by them and that was it. So it's a really good thing. So if you want to like do some internet searches, I'm sure you can probably find it, but that cracked me up. I was just like, no, because I've seen the one on Disney that's like the Arendelle Yule log from Frozen, but it's animated. This one is like a real fire with real animals, but nobody tears the tree down. At least not that they show on television. But I will be honest, the puppies are all some sort of like pity mix. And there's like 8 of them and they're really big and they're very destructive and they stress me out. I can't look at it when they're on the screen. Because I'm just like, oh, please, somebody gate around that tree and put those presents up. Those puppies are going to tear it up. Which I'm sure like people are probably going to be like, oh, Dana, quit being so uptight. But like that stresses me out. I can't handle it. So last but not least for me, my knee surgery is scheduled for next Wednesday on the 8th. I say scheduled because we don't know yet. I put in, I actually called the insurance company this morning. It's still pending. So we're waiting to hear something, hopefully today, if not Monday, but I really hope they don't leave it till then. But they're just, apparently I talked to the doctor's office a couple of days ago. They said they've gone back and forth with them on paperwork like a couple of times because we ended up the final appeal that we had was denied and they immediately closed the claim, like without even talking to us. They just closed it and we couldn't even get back in to do a peer-to-peer on it because it was closed and they would not reopen it. So my doctor's office and I decided that the best thing to do was to start over. I went back in for a brand new evaluation, brand new imaging, and then they submitted it again at the beginning of the week it was the weekend before Thanksgiving. They put it in. So we went ahead and put in for surgery on the 8th and I'm arranging my life like it's happening. Which is extremely stressful because like my house isn't decorated for Christmas and we've got to try to get that done immediately because I'm not going to be able to help after this weekend. Trying to finish up my final work stuff for cups for the year so that I'm not, not keeping promises that I've made. And so I'm trying to finish that stuff and got to get all that sewing done because I'm not going to be able to sit down and do that after I've had it done. So I've got to get that done too. And so it's just extremely stressful and I have no idea what's happening. So if you watch this between now and then, say a prayer for me and or send me some mojo and I will update on the internet as soon as I know for sure, but I have no idea. I just hope that they don't do what I'm worried that they're doing, which is delay it until past Wednesday, till they give us an answer. But I think if they do say no, my doctor will get them to change their mind because he is prepared to get on the phone with them immediately. But I just hope they give us enough time to get him on the phone with them before Wednesday comes.
Yeah.
So
It's a mess.
just very frustrating. It's a huge mess. It's a huge mess.
It's not like this is voluntary, you know.
No, and we did find out that our co-insurance is going up over $2,000 next year. So it has put it out of our price range to pay for it out of pocket all at one time. To have one thing that covers all of it, there's just no way we can't afford it. It would cripple us for the rest of the year if we had to do that, like it would most people, you know. So we're just hoping and praying that we can get it taken care of. But like, I'm just trying not to even get excited because I'm just afraid that everything's gonna end up. Yeah. So you've had a heck of a month. What's been going on with you if you want to talk about it?
Well, I got T-boned at the beginning of the month. So on the way to pick my son up from school, so thankfully, or from work, so thankfully he was not with me, because I was not injured. I was just mad as a wet hen, and I can just promise you that, because I had no intentions of replacing this car, and it has been the biggest pain in the butt to replace the car, to find a suitable replacement that we can pay cash for, because we don't want a payment that, you know, has low mileage. It's just the wrong time of, you know, of the world to be trying to replace a used car, because used cars are a premium. But we've got a prospect, so we'll see. But the money for my car that they paid me because it was total loss just came through this morning. So
wow,
now that we, yeah,
it took a while because
girl phone was denying that she was at fault. So once I
she
supplied
T-boned you.
Once I supplied them with a police report showing that she was in fact cited for, you know, like, then that put a whole different spin on things. So yeah, exactly. I mean, I didn't run the red light on her.
Why did they allow her to deny it when there was a police report that said that it was her fault? Like, they shouldn't have even asked her. They should have just been like, no, this is your fault.
Yeah, I don't think that they had bought. I mean, they had the police report number, but I don't believe that they had requested a copy of the police
report. They probably hadn't.
And mind you, we both have the same insurance company. But
yeah, you have the one I used to work for, and I could tell you horror stories about most of the ones out there, but I watched them pull some hinky stuff on people.
Well, thankfully, I've not had a claim in 20 years. And so, you know, not had to deal with it. But anyway, and the guy was driving at speed, and the claims adjuster, like, I couldn't get him on the phone. And so finally I emailed him, and, you know, that expedited the process once he had the police report in hand. And also Michael got on the phone and called our agent, and he was like, look, this is nonsense. So the agent was able to poke the bear a little bit and get things going. So
good.
They reimbursed us the deductible, and then also gave us, we didn't rent a car because we had a family member loan us one. But they gave us some compensation for that.
Good.
So, yes, we'll see what happens. But in the meantime, I've been driving. Michael has a Crown Vic, and it doesn't get the same gas mileage that my Jetta got. So, as you can imagine, and I drive 80 miles a day, taking Kent back and forth. So it's I've been filling up the gas tank twice a week, which has been painful.
My gosh.
So anyway, that's. I had high hopes for the end of the year, but, you know, I don't know, maybe December.
I think we just need to stay home.
Right. Well, now every time I go through that intersection, I'm just like, everybody stay where they're supposed to stay. Just stay put.
Tell you, after I was T-boned in college, I still, even now, when somebody pulls out beside me on the other side, I flinch. Like, and it's been since 2002 since that happened. And I still flinch. It's been almost 20 years. There's just something about getting T-boned and seeing them coming and knowing that there is absolutely nothing you can do.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. Because I saw her coming, and I was like, in my head, the conversation I had was, surely they're gonna stop. They're gonna stop. Surely they're gonna stop. And then I was like, nope. Okay, here we go. But
thank God you're so level-headed, because
it could have been much worse.
Yeah.
Where I landed, I mean, you would have thought I just parked on the side of the road. It was like so uneventful.
You were very lucky. You were very lucky too that you were able to get off the road so that nobody else hit you.
Yes, right, exactly. That was, everything that the way, and it happened right in front of the state police barracks. I didn't even have to call the police. They were right there.
They just heard it happen.
Heard it happen, and boom, there they were. So, and my husband happened to be off work that day, so he was able to come and bring the tow truck and get me, and like just the way it all played out.
If it had to happen, at least it happened that way.
Yes. So anyway, now
oh my gosh, y'all need to, this was your bad thing number 3. You need to be done.
Yeah, I feel that way as well. So no, I know 2020 was harmful and bad for a lot of people, but our 2020 was bad. Yeah, 2021 is not.
I don't think I've ever had the level of frustration that I've got right now, like about everything in my life, about the world in general. Like I'm a little simmering pot of rage, like, and like, I've got family stuff going on right now where I'm completely helpless about anything with certain things that are happening in my family. And my ability to travel has been, of course, severely curtailed because I was actually looking at the calendar because I was like, how many weeks has it been since my left knee? It's been 15 weeks. Monday will be 16 weeks. So Monday is 4 months exactly since I had my left knee done. So I'll be at 4 weeks and 2 days when I have the right knee done. Please, please, please. So I'm just like, I cannot get in the car for more than about 35 or 40 minutes without really feeling it. And I know once the right one's done, I won't be able to go anywhere at all, except for, therapy. That's about it. And to the doctor, like when I eventually do go for a post-op. So I can't go to where the problem is that's happening in my family. So I have to rely on people to tell me what's going on. And that's not a situation I like being in. So it's just been very frustrating, and I'm just upset with a lot of things right now. So I just hope that I really am hoping that 2022 is easier across the board.
Indeed.
But it just seems like it's just getting harder and harder and harder. So I guess I need to temper my expectations.
Right. Exactly. Just it's not been great, but anyway, onward and upward.
Yeah. Well, we keep on keeping on, and we do what we have to do. And we take care of ourselves and the ones that are within arm's reach, and pray for the others, I guess. I don't really know. Oh well. Anyway. All right, so announcements. Check out Tiffany's party link for the most recent Color Street stuff. There's I think something's coming out soon. I'll just say that. I'll be honest. I think something's coming out soon. They're doing something special this month that's called like 25 Days of Color. And I don't know if you signed up for it yet.
I didn't.
Well, they sent out an email and it's called 25 Days of Color. And if you go to the website, let me pull it up. Let's see. It is 25 days of .colorstreet.com. So when you go to that, it pops up and looks like a little advent calendar, and you pop on the day's date. You can click on the previous day so you can see what's already up. But when you click on the day's date, it will pop open a little door, and it'll show a surprise. But just by registering it, you got entered to win the entire holiday collection. But they previewed something yesterday that looks like it might be new sets in the day 2 door. So so go check that out if you want to. It'll be fun. But that went out into all previous customers who have not unsubscribed from the company email. It went out to your email a couple of days ago. That's coming.
Yeah.
So we should have something, and then we'll have we should have Valentine's towards the end of the month because they always release that at the end of December. So that should be coming too. So if you like hearts and pink and red and fun stuff that says love, then definitely check that out too. But yeah, and I've got some party dates open because I can still run parties even if I'm sitting there with my knee recovering. So I'm happy to do a party if somebody wants to earn some free sets. Tiffany gets her sets for low cost or no cost most of the time due to having a link with me. And you don't actually have to have a party to have a link if you just want to get a link and give it out to people. And then their purchases through that link would count towards rewards as well. I can do those. I call those affiliate links. So if you want that, that's good too. But yeah, that's it for Facebook. I mean, for that, my Facebook VIP group, I do deals in there all the time. And I have sample requests link in the show notes too. So last quarter of our knit along, make sure you get your final whips in by the end of it, preferably by the end of this month, if not by January 4th at the absolute latest, because we'll be not counting anything that's posted after the 4th. We usually lock it on time, but just in case we forget, the 4th is when the cutoff is. So we won't be counting your entry if you put anything up past then and we haven't locked the thread yet. We're still trying to decide what to do for a knit along for 2022. So we'll put something up in the group between now and the end of the month when we make a decision. We won't be able to put it up in a podcast, but we will put it up in the group by the end of the month. So you'll know what's coming, but it will likely be something along the lines of working from stash, dealing with whips, where everybody knit a shawl. I mean, we've had a lot of suggestions, so we're just going to have to weed through those. And we honestly just haven't had the brain space to be able to figure out what we're going to do yet, but we do have intentions to do that. But yeah, if you have any ideas for something you'd like to see us do, or if you want us to resurrect an old one, even from my podcast from before Tiffany and I started doing it, if you were just one more row person, you know, if you liked one of the ones that Brittany and I did or something, we could try to resurrect one of those, or we could do something entirely new. So just let us know if you have an opinion. And I guess that's it for me. Do you have anything else?
No, just thank you to the few people that have gone and clicked on my link. I'm going to be getting some rewards, and so
yes,
our income has dwindled in the last little bit. My husband lost his job in the midst of his COVID situation and has had to take a pay cut with his new job, and so my fund money is kind of gone down. So I do appreciate you know, clicking on that link and shopping through me. And yeah, that's
yeah. And when you shop through her link, you're also supporting me and my family, which, you know, after I do this next cup update, that's like 2 months. I'm not going to have any cup income unless somebody goes and buys something I have already done. So that's going to cut my money way down too. So appreciate the support of me as well, and all that kind of stuff. So, all right. Well, I guess we won't be talking to you until after Christmas is over and New Year's. So happy holidays, everybody. Hope you all have a really good rest of the month. We appreciate you sticking with us, and we hope that you'll recommend any friends to come watch us if you enjoy our show. And we always appreciate likes on our videos are always helpful, and positive comments are always welcome because that helps us get bumped if it recommends us to people. So we do appreciate that if you're willing to do that. And then of course we have a show notes blog. So make sure you're subscribed over there so that you can see whenever we post the show notes for the new episodes, because we take a lot of care to make sure that we link everything we talk about so that you guys don't have to go hunting for stuff.
one definite way too to know that a new episode has come out, because you'll get an email saying that a new episode is up.
Yes.
So, you know, if you're subscribed on YouTube, and you get the notifications from us, you'll know that as well. But
yeah,
definitely, you know, you'll get an email.
Yeah. And I always post the show notes at the same time I upload the podcast. So you may get double notifications if you're subscribed both places, but you can watch the podcast through the blog as well as through YouTube because I embed it in the show notes. So it's always going to be there, and it tracks back to our YouTube channel. So are you doing Vlogmas this year? You're not, are you?
That was something I meant to say with the watching, and listening to. I'm watching a few Vlogmases, but I've been working all week, which is something I don't normally do. So, my time has been more limited. But yeah, this weekend I'll probably, Michael has to work tomorrow. And so before the SEC championship game, that's probably what I'll be doing in the morning, is working on this crochet thing and,
Catching up.
yeah.
It's fun. Yeah, we've got several friends who do them, so it's always fun to watch people's Vlogmases.
I really enjoy, just the little snippets of each person's day. And
I just don't have enough to say. I feel like my life is the same almost every day. So it's like, yep, it's me sitting here again, knitting another row on this. You saw it yesterday. Like, I think it works better if you have an advent that you're opening.
Or if you've got a lot of activities you're doing, because the one year I did it, like, I made a purpose of going out. Like, even one day I just stopped at a random park and just like here's what the park looks like. But
Yeah, you did.
I wasn't doing much of that, so I didn't.
Well, it's hard when you don't have time. It's hard to come up with content. I mean, content creation is like a really time invested thing. Like, it's not fast to do some of that stuff.
Do it because, yeah,
I'm lazy. Well, and like this year, I don't have an advent to open. So it's like I don't have anything really to talk about daily. I mean, and I don't feel like my life is interesting enough that anybody would really want to see what I do every day, because it's really not that.
vlog. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Did you see what I posted on Instagram though, where I was sad that I didn't have an advent? So I said I was going to eat a Christmas themed dessert every single night after dinner.
Well, that works.
Yeah, I picked up some Christmassy stuff. I've got some cookies, and they're not all like Christmas, but they're like desserts. So I've got like some cookies, and I got those gigantic Christmas tree cakes, which I don't want to eat those every day or I'll get fat as a pig. Like, nobody needs to eat a double-sized Christmas tree cake every single day. That's just not good. Maybe that'll be like my like once every 4 or 5 days treat. But anyway, so I'm doing that for my advent. I guess I could film myself eating it. I thought that would be really weird. This is my giant cake. Watch me consume. No.
Market.
That would attract people that I don't know that I really want watching me. Just saying. No, anyway. So maybe next year I'll plan ahead and save money for an advent.
Well, I've enjoyed so far doing this swap.
Yeah.
A good way to trade scraps.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a couple. Well, Monday there was a little chocolate square, so there's a few goodies sprinkled in there along the way. Yeah, I'll probably do this again.
I'll probably do it again now that I know that I have enough scraps, because I didn't think I did until I found that big bag, because I thought I had put them all in that blanket. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Oh, well, you live and you learn. I probably don't need any more yarn coming in the house, but now that I'm trading with my friend, well, I'll have something to look forward to in January. That'll be fun.
I love that idea, because, it's like after the hubbub of everything, it gives you something to look forward to.
Yes. Speaking of that, reminds me I need to find my mini nitty naughty, because I need to be able to make those minis, because she and I are doing 10 grams. Actually, no, we're doing grams, so it doesn't matter. I can use my scale. She and I are doing 10-gram minis.
I use the mini nitty naughty to wrap mine. It's just as easy to stand there and do that.
Yeah, I used to do this.
Okay.
Just when I'm doing for somebody like her, not, for the shop, but anyway. All right, we're babbling. We'll talk to you guys later. Thanks so much for watching, and happy holidays.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.